Today I thought it would be fun to do my blog post in the form of a video blog, and I'm just continuing on with my series of 31 days of I Believe. And so today what I want to talk about is that I believe that children in the same family should share a bedroom. And the reason that I can speak to that is because my boys share a room. And I am here sitting on their bunk beds, and this is where my son Jonathan sleeps, and he's 13. And on the top bunk is where Zachary sleeps, and he is 10. And my boys have pretty much shared a bedroom since Zachary was born. So we do have a home that is big enough for the two boys to have their own room. And we also have a 16-year-old daughter that, of course, has her own room. But before we moved here, our home that we lived in before was smaller, and we did not have enough room for them to each have their own room. So when Zachary was born, he stayed in our bedroom for just a short time, and then he quickly moved into his big brother's room, who was 3 at the time. So then when we moved into our house that we live in now, it just seemed kind of normal and natural to just move them on over and allow them to continue to share a bedroom. We didn't really know how long, that would last or what would come of it, but here they are, still in the same room. So I think that it's really fun and it's very special for them to be able to enjoy that time together. And they really don't spend a lot of time in their bedroom. As far as toys and things like that, we have a bonus room where the Legos and the drum set and the video games and the things like that they normally play with, those are in the bonus room. So they spend a lot of time in there as far as playing. And then as far as studying, we mostly do homework at the kitchen table or the dining room table or sometimes in the den floor. So they're really not in here that much for studying either. So really the time that they're in here the most is really at bedtime. And I think, if we were to, come in here on a Saturday morning and say, guess what, boys, we have this really fun project for today, surprise, you're going to get your own bedroom. I think they would be excited at first, and I would think they would start dividing up things, and these are your books, and these are my toys, and you can have that if I can have this, and I think that would be exciting for them, but I think by the end of the day, or maybe a couple of days, they would be back together, especially when it would be time for bed. And I will say that bedtime can be kind of challenging when kids are sharing a room, because that's the time of the day when, everybody needs to quieten down and they need to, settle in and not be so active. And with boys, there's always a good bit of action right before bedtime, whether it's jumping on the bed or wrestling or throwing things here and there, and just a lot of action. And so that makes it a little bit difficult when it does come to bedtime. I don't think it matters what age they are, actually. But I know that pretty much we can come into the room and say, boys, you have to settle down, it's time for bed. I mean, we do have the separate beds, of course one sleeps on the top and one sleeps on the bottom most of the time, so they are separated for a little bit, but it still takes a little effort to quieten them down. But I do remember, I'm an only child, and so I remember when I would have friends over for sleepovers, we would stay up chatting and stay up, talking and whispering and giggling and laughing and things like that after we were supposed to be sleeping. And so my boys have that kind of every night, and those are fun memories, I think, for them. They can lay in here and, talk and ask each other questions, or sometimes they lay in the bed, with their eye touch, and they'll, talk about what they're playing for a little bit. And I just feel like that's a good, just downtime for them to be in the room sharing and just being with one another. And I hope that those memories will be long-lasting for them as adults. And of course, I feel like it's also teaching them some responsibility. They're obviously going to have to share a room at other times in their life as well. If they go to college, of course, they'll have a roommate, and they'll probably be in a room smaller than this, and they may be sharing their room with a stranger at that. Also, they might have a roommate, after college when they start their careers. And then, of course, when they get married, they're not going to have their own room then, hopefully. So I do hope that it's teaching them some responsibility on how to respect each other's things and respect each other's space and things like that. They never have the opportunity to come into their room and just close the door and be in here by themselves, and they know that, and I'm so glad we've never had an issue with that. And I think that it's one of those things that is really going to be special for them as they grow up, just remembering their childhood and getting to share those special things and special times in their room. And that is my hope anyway. And so that's why, I can speak to that as far as that is what I believe. I don't know how long it's going to last. One is 10 and one is 13. I think if they can get through this age gap, that's a pretty big gap as far as I'm concerned. A 10-year-old and a 13-year-old have a lot of different interests. Then I think maybe they'll be able to carry it on through. But my daughter will be going to college in a couple of years, and so I guess at that point in time when her room becomes available, I guess, we'll find out for sure whether or not they want to continue in the same room. But for now, it's fun, and I think it's a great thing to do if you have the opportunity to do it. We certainly did not set out for that in our life. We didn't say, we're going to have these children, and they're all going to share a room, and it's going to teach them all these great and wonderful things about responsibility and respect. But it has worked out that way, and we're very thankful for it. So I hope that you've enjoyed this little video blog, and maybe I'll do some more of these another time. But for now, that is all. Thanks. And I have to get up to turn off the iPad.